Stop scrolling. This voice is a divine interruption, and it's not here by accident. I have a coded message that only makes sense for you. What God saw in you is so unique that He's about to pull you out of the line and place you on the stage of your purpose. Don't close this video. This is not just another motivational word among thousands you consume without results. This is the specific sign you've been waiting for without knowing you were waiting for it. Heaven has been watching your internal struggle, your silent battle with identity, your exhaustion from trying to be like everyone else when you were designed to be completely different. And now, at this exact moment, the window of revelation opens to show you why your path has been so different and what that has to do with your extraordinary destiny. I know your journey has been different, and it's exactly because of that your victory will be thunderous. The pattern of your life doesn't resemble anyone you know. While others advanced in straight lines, you took winding roads that seemed to divert you. While others fit perfectly into their social circles, you always felt you didn't completely belong to any group. While others celebrated quick victories, you accumulated experiences that only now are beginning to make sense. That difference that has made you feel isolated, strange, misunderstood, was not an error in divine design. It was intentional. It was part of the process of sculpting something the world has never seen before in the exact combination you represent. Today's sign marks the end of your period of invisibility. You've been in the preparation room for too long, being molded, refined, tested in ways others didn't experience because others don't carry the weight of authority you're destined to carry. Your time in the shadows wasn't waste or punishment. It was intensive training, classified, specifically designed for the level of influence you're about to exercise. Those who saw you struggle without understanding why what seemed simple to them was so hard for you are about to witness why that level of resistance was necessary. You were being strengthened to carry a mantle that requires spiritual muscles most will never develop. Stay until the end, because I'm going to give you the activation phrase that unlocks your uniqueness and your master purpose. It's not a magic formula or empty words. It's a spiritual code that, when you declare it with genuine faith, will open doors that have been closed, because they could only be opened from your true identity, not from the imitations of yourself you've been presenting to the world. That phrase will activate the latent authority God placed in your spiritual DNA since before you were born. But to receive it with complete power, you need to understand first why you were made different and what's about to change in your life from this moment forward. There's a battle being fought at this precise instant for your attention. The enemy knows that if he gets you to abandon this message before receiving the complete revelation, he will have stolen years from your destiny. That's why you'll feel impulses to close the video, sudden distractions, thoughts telling you you've heard enough messages without results. But this time is different. This time, the word is not for the masses. It's for the unique ones, for the rare ones, for those who never completely fit because they were designed to create new molds, not to fill existing ones. Your decision to remain here the next few minutes will determine whether you finally cross to the other side of your true identity, or whether you spend more years trying to be the diluted version of yourself that the world finds more comfortable, but heaven never ordered. I know the weight of being different that you've carried your entire life. From an early age, you felt you saw the world differently than those around you. While others were content with superficial answers, you asked deep questions that made people uncomfortable. While others conformed to predictable routines, you felt an internal fire that demanded more, that longed for purpose, that searched for meaning in everything. That intensity of your vision, that depth of your faith, that need for authenticity at any cost, made you feel like a stranger even among your own family, among your friends, even within your spiritual community. It wasn't that you did something wrong. You simply operated on a different frequency, and that generated a constant feeling of not completely belonging anywhere. I know about the silent struggle with your identity that has emotionally exhausted you. You've spent years trying to fit into molds that weren't designed for your shape. You've worked hard to be normal when God made you exceptional. You've tried to soften your unique edges, to not make uncomfortable those who prefer uniform mediocrity. You've apologized for your intensity, minimized your extraordinary ideas, hidden your light so as not to threaten those who live comfortably in darkness. That constant act of betraying your true essence to please others' expectations has left you exhausted, empty, confused about who you really are. You've lived like a lion pretending to be a sheep, and your soul rebels against that imposture, even though your rational mind tells you that adapting is survival. I know about the sacrifice of your talent that has silently broken your heart. You have gifts, abilities, creative visions that are genuinely unique, but you've set them aside to fulfill obligations that drain your soul. You accepted that job that pays the bills, but kills your spirit a little each day. You settled for relationships that offer you stability, but don't understand the depth of your dreams. You filed away projects that passionate you because reasonable voices convinced you they were impractical, risky, selfish. And every time you betray that unique talent God put in you, something inside you dies. You live with the ghost of the extraordinary person you could have been, while presenting to the world a safe but inauthentic version of yourself. I know about the pain of being misunderstood that you've endured from people you love. Your family doesn't understand why you can't simply settle for what seems sufficient to them. Your friends subtly mock your big ideas because they've accepted limitations you refuse to accept. Your spiritual community labels you as rebellious or complicated because you ask questions they prefer not to face. You've been judged for following an unusual path God guided you on, but others interpret as stubbornness or arrogance. Those close people you expected would celebrate you were the first to try to clip your wings, to convince you that flying too high is dangerous, to scare you with stories of others, failures to keep you on the safe ground where they feel secure. You've carried the loneliness of one who sees what others don't see. You have visions, revelations, understandings that when you share them are received with blank stares or polite disinterest. You've learned to keep silent about your deepest thoughts because you're tired of being misunderstood. You've become selective about who you share your inner world with because most don't have the frame of reference to understand it. That loneliness isn't necessarily physical. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely isolated because no one operates on your wavelength. You've longed to find your tribe, people who see what you see, who feel what you feel, who value what you value. But until now, those connections have been scarce or non-existent. I know about the pressure you've felt to dilute yourself to be accepted. How many times have you diminished your enthusiasm to not seem too intense? How many times have you silenced your truth to not create conflict? How many times have you pretended to agree with mediocre opinions to keep the peace? How many times have you sabotaged your own potential successes because standing out too much would generate resentment in those around you? You've negotiated parts of yourself you should never have negotiated. You've compromised your authenticity, thinking it was the price of belonging, only to discover that belonging to places that require you to be less than you are is not true belonging, but imprisonment disguised as community. I know about the exhaustion of explaining why you can't simply follow the traditional path, why the standard corporate job suffocates you even though it pays well. Why conventional marriage doesn't attract you even though everyone insists you should pursue it. Why the goals others chase with passion leave you completely indifferent. It's not that you're problematic or difficult, it's that you are wired with a different operating system. What motivates the majority doesn't move you. What satisfies others leaves you empty. And that constant mismatch with normative expectations has made you question whether something's wrong with you, whether you're the one who's wrong, whether you should simply surrender and accept a life that was never designed for someone of your caliber. You've experienced the pain of being a pioneer without a map. You don't have role models to follow because what God is calling you to do has no exact precedent in your circle. You look around searching for someone who walked your path before, but you find no one. That generates insecurity because there's no testimony validating it's possible. It makes you doubt, because if no one else has done it, how do you know you're not chasing an illusion? But here's the truth. Pioneers always walk alone at first. Those who open new paths don't have the luxury of following existing footprints. Your lack of precedent isn't weakness. It's evidence you're destined to be the first, the one who will establish the pattern others will follow after. I know about the frustration of having giant potential trapped in small circumstances. You feel like an eagle caged in a chicken coop. You know you were made to fly to extraordinary heights, but your current circumstances barely allow you to move. You have million-dollar ideas, but limited resources. You have vision of massive influence, but minuscule platform. You have leadership capacity, but they placed you in follower positions. That disproportion between your internal potential and your external reality generates unbearable tension. It's not arrogance to recognize your greatness, it's honesty. The problem is, you've been in environments requiring you to pretend to be small, and that constant acting is slowly killing you. I know about the fear that paralyzes you when you consider really being yourself without filters. What will happen if you drop the masks and show your true self? What will people say? Will you lose the few connections you have? Will they completely reject you? That fear of total rejection has kept you playing small, offering edited versions of yourself that are acceptable enough to not be expelled, but false enough to keep you disconnected from your real power. You've calculated it's safer to live half accepted than completely authentic and potentially alone. But what you haven't understood is that the loneliness of being authentic is less painful than the loneliness of being false, surrounded by people who love a version of you that isn't real. You've carried the guilt of not being satisfied with what others consider enough. People have made you feel ungrateful for wanting more, ambitious in the negative sense for not conforming, problematic for not celebrating mediocre achievements. They've accused you of being chronically dissatisfied, of never being content, of always seeking something more. And those accusations planted doubt. Am I too demanding? Will I never be happy? But the truth is that insatiable hunger for more isn't a defect. It's design. God put in you an appetite for excellence, for extraordinary, for massive transformation, because He assigned you a task that requires exactly that level of hunger. Those who settle for little were designed for small tasks. Your dissatisfaction is proportional to your assignment. I know about the internal battle between remaining safe or finally daring to be great. Every day you wake up and choose again. Today will I be authentic or keep pretending? Today will I take the step toward my true purpose or remain in the known comfort zone? Today will I speak my truth or swallow my words again? That daily decision exhausts you because you know each day you choose safe over authentic is a day stolen from your destiny. But fear of change, fear of failure, fear of disappointing yourself if you try and it doesn't work, keeps you paralyzed in a place you hate, but that at least is predictable. I know about the private tears you've shed asking God why He made you so different, why you couldn't be normal, why your path has to be so complicated when others have clear and simple routes. You've prayed asking Him to remove that intensity, to make you simpler, easier to please, more conformist with the ordinary. But God hasn't answered that prayer because what you perceive as curse is actually your greatest blessing. That difference you wish to eliminate is exactly what qualifies you for extraordinary purpose. If you were common, you'd do common things. If you were simple, you'd achieve simple results. Your complexity, your intensity, your uniqueness are the exact tools necessary for the task God assigned you. You've experienced the pain of seeing less qualified people occupy positions you should have. You've watched others with less vision, less passion, less capacity receive opportunities denied to you. You've witnessed the success of mediocrities while you, with all your potential, remain in darkness. That apparent injustice has made you question whether being excellent really matters, whether it's worth being different, whether it wouldn't be better to simply be average and at least have the crumbs the system distributes to those who conform. But what you don't see is you were intentionally held back, because what God is preparing for you cannot be shared with conformists. Your promotion will be so massive, it could only come after you were strong enough to handle it without it destroying you. But listen to this clearly. You were not punished for being different. You were prepared to be extraordinary. Every moment where you felt displaced was God protecting you from diluting yourself in environments that would have reduced your potential. Every closed door was divine mercy, preventing you from entering spaces too small for your destiny. Every relationship that ended was liberation from connections that would have tried to domesticate you. Every failure you experienced was redirection toward the correct path. Your uniqueness is not an accident needing correction. It's intentional design needing activation. And that's exactly the moment we're in now. The activation of everything you were created to be. Now I need to reveal to you the exact tactic the enemy has used to neutralize your uniqueness. There's a real adversary who has studied your unique design and implemented a specific strategy to nullify your effectiveness before you discover your true power. This tactic is not violent or obvious, it's subtle and psychological. The enemy's main weapon against people like you is called comparison and discouragement. He knows that if he gets you to measure your value against others' success, he'll keep you perpetually dissatisfied with yourself and constantly trying to copy formulas that worked for them but will never work for you because you weren't designed to walk their paths, but to open your own. The tactic works like this. The enemy constantly shows you people who achieved success following traditional patterns. He bombards you with testimonies of those who prospered doing exactly what everyone does. He surrounds you with voices insisting there's a proven formula, and if you don't follow it, you'll fail. Then, when you try to force yourself into those molds and it doesn't work because you weren't designed for them, the enemy whispers, "See, something's wrong with you. It works for everyone except you. Maybe you're not as special as you believed." That lie, planted in a moment of vulnerability, makes you abandon your authenticity and double down on imitating others, which only deepens your frustration because you're using energy destined for your unique lane, trying to run in borrowed lanes. The enemy makes you scroll social media, where you see edited successes of people who are actually as lost as you, but are better at acting like they have it all figured out. He makes you compare your internal struggles with others, external victories. He shows you what others have at 30 years old and makes you feel like a failure if at your age you don't have the same, without revealing that their paths are completely different from yours, that their destinies require different trajectories, that what for them is the goal for you would be a distraction, that constant comparison robs your peace, kills your creativity, neutralizes your uniqueness because it keeps you focused on what you're not, instead of cultivating what you are. The adversary's strategy includes convincing you that to succeed, you need to copy proven formulas. He sells you the lie that there's a safe path, an established map, a guaranteed system, and that deviating from that system is imprudence or rebellion. He surrounds you with well-intentioned advisors who counsel you to be realistic, to come down from the clouds, to think practical. Those voices, though they sound wise, are being used by the enemy to abort your uniqueness before it's fully born, because what they call realism is actually sanctified mediocrity. What they label as prudence is actually fear disguised as wisdom. And if you listen to them, you'll end up living a safe, predictable, comfortable life completely outside your divine purpose. The enemy also uses discouragement as a paralyzing weapon. After you've tried to be yourself and faced rejection, After you've shared your unique vision and been ridiculed, after you've taken steps of faith and apparently failed, the adversary arrives with his most reasonable voice and tells you, you saw it doesn't work. You already tried being different and it didn't turn out. It's time to accept that maybe your unique calling was your imagination. Maybe it's time to settle for what's available to everyone. That voice of discouragement arrives disguised as maturity, as if surrendering to mediocrity were a sign of growth, when in reality, it's capitulation to fear. Another diabolical tactic is making you feel selfish for wanting to manifest your uniqueness. The enemy twists scriptures about humility to convince you that standing out is pride, that shining is vanity, that using your unique gifts completely is self-centeredness. He makes you feel guilty for wanting more than others have. He accuses you of not being content with your portion. He makes you believe that settling for less than your potential is spirituality, when in reality it's waste of divine design. God didn't make you exceptional so you'd pretend to be ordinary. Hiding your light is not humility, it's sanctified cowardice. True humility is recognizing what God put in you and using it completely for His glory. The adversary keeps you busy with good activities so you never reach the extraordinary. He has you running from obligation to obligation, serving in things others could do, spending your unique energy on generic tasks. He convinces you that saying no to legitimate requests is lack of service, when in reality, it's protection of your assignment. He makes you feel guilty for establishing boundaries that protect your creative time, your development space, your focus on the unique purpose only you can fulfill. By keeping you perpetually busy with the urgent, the enemy ensures you never have time or energy for the important, which is your singular calling. The enemy also plants envy in your heart toward those who operate in their uniqueness freely. When you see someone successful being authentically unique instead of inspiring you, the adversary twists that observation into resentment. Why can they be different and you can't? Why does it work for them and not for you? That poisoned envy blinds you to the truth that their success in being themselves should be evidence you can also be yourself successfully. Their victory should be your hope, but the enemy converts it into your torture, using it as another proof you're defective, when in reality it's demonstration that authenticity works. The tactic includes making you addicted to external validation. The enemy trains you to measure your value by likes, by comments, by others' approval. You become enslaved to audiences that applaud diluted versions of you, but would reject you if you showed your true intensity. That addiction to approval keeps you perpetually adjusting your message, softening your edges, compromising your authenticity to maintain numbers that actually mean nothing if you're building on a false identity. The enemy prefers you have 1,000 followers who love a false you than 100 who would love the true you, because the 1,000 keep you trapped in performance while the 100 would free you to be powerful. The adversary uses perfectionism to paralyze you. He convinces you that you can't move until everything's perfect, until you have all the answers, until there's no possibility of error. He makes you postpone launching your uniqueness, waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. He keeps you in eternal preparation, in infinite planning, in constant perfecting, so you never cross to real execution. Because the enemy knows an imperfect you in action is infinitely more dangerous to his kingdom than a perfect you still hidden waiting for ideal conditions that don't exist. The enemy also isolates you from your true tribe while surrounding you with people who tolerate you but don't celebrate you. He keeps you in environments where you're the weirdest, the most intense, the most extra, so you constantly doubt your normalcy. He distances you from connections with other pioneers, other unique ones, others who would operate on your frequency, because he knows if you find your real tribe, if you connect with people who see what you see, the multiplier effect of that alliance would be unstoppable. That's why divine connections have been blocked, because the enemy fears what you'd be capable of doing if you finally had the support of those who understand your uniqueness instead of fearing it. The final tactic is making you believe it's already too late, that you missed your window, that at your age you should already be more advanced, that the time to manifest your uniqueness already passed, that you should have started 10 years ago. That lie of lost timing paralyzes you in regret of the past and fear of the future, robbing you of the power of the present. But the truth is, every apparently wasted experience was a necessary ingredient for the unique person you've become. You didn't arrive late, you arrived exactly on time, with exactly the necessary preparation, with exactly the maturity required to handle what's coming. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to discover. His attack, so specific against your uniqueness, is evidence of the strategic value of that uniqueness. If you weren't dangerous being yourself, he wouldn't invest so much effort convincing you to be like everyone else. The level of warfare you've experienced against your unique identity is proportional to the level of impact you'll have when you finally manifest it completely. The enemy fights so fiercely against your authenticity because he knows a false you is harmless, but a true you is unstoppable. Your uniqueness is not the problem. It's the solution, and it's about to be completely activated. But now everything changes radically. Now I want you to hear something that will completely transform your understanding of who you are and why you're here. There's a monumental truth that has been hidden in your life's design, a reality your natural eyes haven't been able to see, but that is more solid than anything tangible. While you've been struggling with your difference, feeling inadequate for not fitting in, the divine architect has been finalizing a masterpiece the world has never seen in the exact combination you represent. What I'm about to reveal to you now is not motivational theory or empty talk. It's a prophetic decree about your uniqueness, sealed in eternal design. And your existence will never be the same after receiving this revelation. The miracle you need is not to change who you are, but to fully activate who you already are. For years you've prayed asking to be different, asking to fit in, asking to be normal. But God hasn't answered that prayer because what you perceive as your greatest weakness is actually your most powerful weapon. Your uniqueness doesn't need correction, it needs activation. There's a spiritual key called the key of uniqueness being delivered into your hand at this moment. This key opens doors that have remained closed to you because they only respond to your unique spiritual fingerprint. No imitation of you can open those doors. Only the authentic you, complete, unedited, undiluted, has the authority to turn that lock and cross to the other side of your destiny. The nature of this miracle is the unlocking of authority and vocation. You're about to experience total clarity about why you were made different. All the puzzle pieces of your life that seem to make no sense are about to fit into a coherent image that will leave you breathless. Every mistake you made was a necessary lesson. Every deviation from your path was divine redirection. Every moment where you felt lost, you were being guided to a place no one else could reach. The confusion is ending. The fog is lifting. You're exiting the preparation room and entering the manifestation stage where your uniqueness will not be tolerated, but celebrated, not be hidden, but exhibited, not be apologized for, but monetized and multiplied for massive impact. Listen to this revelation with your entire being. The divine architect has been sculpting you since before birth. Jeremiah 1 verse 5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." This is not just for Old Testament prophets. It's a principle of divine design. Before your first cell divided, before your heart beat its first pulse, before you breathed your first breath, God had already coded into your spiritual DNA a purpose so specific that only you in all human history can fulfill it exactly the way He designed it. That specificity is the reason for your uniqueness. Every piece of your story is now being revealed as an essential part of the project. That trauma you experienced wasn't waste. It gave you compassion for a specific group that needs your message. That failure that embarrasses you wasn't final. It taught you humility that will prevent coming success from destroying you. That season of isolation that broke you wasn't abandonment. It was the necessary space for you to develop your unique voice without being contaminated by the echo of other voices. The architect makes no mistakes. Every line of your design, even those you consider ugly, are intentional and necessary for the complete functionality of the masterpiece you're becoming. Right now, in the spiritual realm, every tactic of copying the enemy used against you is being annulled. Every spirit of comparison that kept you measuring your value against others' achievements is being broken at this instant. Every voice that told you you needed to be like someone else is being silenced by divine decree. An anointing of unprecedented creativity is rising over you. Ideas that never existed before are about to be downloaded into your spirit. Solutions to problems humanity faces are about to be revealed through your unique perspective. You will no longer copy. You will create. You will no longer follow. You will lead. You will no longer imitate. You will originate. Your time as an echo has ended. Your time as an original voice has begun. Angels are being commissioned at this moment with a specific assignment related to your uniqueness. There are angels of divine connection being sent to locate and bring into your life your purpose partners. Those people who will finally understand your vision without you having to explain 1,000 times. Those souls who operate on your frequency, who see what you see, who value what you value. You've been surrounded by wrong people who tried to domesticate you, but the right ones who will celebrate you are being mobilized toward your location. The connections you're about to make are not human networking. They're heaven-ordered alliances that will exponentially multiply your effectiveness. The scope of this promise covers 3 critical areas of your existence. First, your identity. The doubt is over. The confusion about who you are is finished. You're going to wake up every morning with absolute certainty of your intrinsic value, not based on achievements, but on divine design. Second, your vocation and career. You're going to receive clear direction about your field of operation. That specific space where your unique brand will not only be accepted, but will be your competitive advantage. Where your rarity will be your wealth. Third, your influence. Your voice and your story will become powerful testimony that opens doors, transforms lives, establishes new standards in your industry or ministerial field. At this moment, God wants you to hear directly from His mouth. Beloved son, precious daughter, I made you unique not by accident but by assignment. Your uniqueness is not a defect needing repair, but a design needing celebration. Every time you tried to be like others, you offended me because you discarded the special gift I gave you. Every time you hid your light to make people comfortable who prefer darkness, you betrayed the purpose for which I formed you. But today that season of dilution ends. Today your era of complete manifestation begins. I command you, be who I made you to be, without apologies, without edits, without fear. Because in your total authenticity resides my maximum glory in your life. Ephesians 2 verse 10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." The word handiwork in the original Greek is poema, from which comes our word, poem. You are not mass production, you are unique work of art. You are not a copy, you are an original signed by the Creator. The good works God prepared for you cannot be performed by anyone else because they were specifically designed for your unique combination of gifts, experiences, perspective, and personality. When you try to do works prepared for others, you fail. When you do those prepared for you, you soar. Psalm 139 verse 14 declares, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." You are one of those wonderful works. Your complexity is not error, it's excellence of design. Your intensity is not a problem, it's concentrated power. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's capacity to perceive what others don't perceive. Every characteristic you've tried to change is exactly what you need for the mission awaiting you. Stop fighting your design and start leveraging it for the purpose for which it was created. There's a season change being declared over your life right now. The season of hidden preparation has ended. The season of public manifestation has begun. What was developed in secret is about to be revealed in public. The talent you refined when no one was watching is about to be exhibited on platforms everyone watches. The voice you trained in the desert is about to resonate in stadiums. The message you elaborated in solitude is about to transform multitudes. Not gradually, not eventually. Now, the transition has already begun. Your only job is to align with it by stopping your resistance to your uniqueness and starting to fully embrace it. The doors that only respond to your uniqueness are opening at this moment. Opportunities that rejected, diluted versions of you are about to open for the complete you. Contracts you didn't sign when trying to fit into others. Molds are about to arrive when you present yourself without masks. Relationships that were impossible when you acted like someone you're not will flow naturally when you simply be you. Favor you pursued without results, when imitating others will pursue you when you walk in your authenticity. The world rewards uniqueness because the common is saturated. Your uniqueness is not an obstacle to success, it's the vehicle toward it. But there's something critical you must understand. This revelation requires your active response. You can't simply receive this information and return to hiding your light. You can't simply feel good momentarily and then return to compromising your authenticity. This word is a point of no return. Either you completely cross into your uniqueness or you remain trapped in the mediocrity of imitation. God is extending the key of uniqueness to you, but you must make the decision to use it. You must turn it in the lock of your destiny. You must push the door and cross, even though your entire being trembles with fear and excitement. The miracle is available, but it requires your courage to finally, completely, without apologies, be who God designed you to be from the beginning of time. This is what's happening backstage while you listen to these words. Every demonic assignment against your identity is being cancelled. Every plan from hell to keep you diluted is being thwarted. Every spirit of conformity is being expelled from your atmosphere. Angels are being stationed around you to protect your authenticity from voices that will try to convince you to return to the safety of being common. Heaven is betting everything that you'll finally say yes to being who you are. And that bet comes with heavenly resources, with open doors, with divine connections, with supernatural favor that will make it seem like overnight you became successful, when in reality it was years of hidden preparation converging in an explosive moment of public manifestation. The final question is simple but definitive. Will you accept your uniqueness or keep fighting against it? Will you manifest the master purpose coded in your spiritual DNA, or die with your music still inside? Will you be the masterpiece God designed, or continue being the cheap copy of others that fear forced you to be? This moment decides everything. This revelation changes everything. Your response determines everything. The clock is ticking, the window is open, the invitation is extended. All that's missing is for you, with radical faith and supernatural courage, to say yes to being who you always should have been. Now I want you to see the complete panorama of what happens when you finally manifest your uniqueness without restrictions. This is not simply about feeling better about yourself or having more personal confidence. What's happening has eternal implications that transcend your individual benefit. God is positioning you as a pioneer of authenticity in your generation, as living testimony that it's possible to be completely yourself and not just survive, but exponentially prosper. Those who knew you in your imitation stage are going to witness your transformation into an original, and their perception of what's possible will be expanded forever. Your victory in being authentic will open mental doors in others who have been trapped in the same conformity patterns you're breaking. The reward coming upon your life will be so evident you won't be able to hide it, even if you wanted to. When you operate in your authentic uniqueness, there's a special radiance that emanates from you that cannot be faked or imitated. It's the glory of someone who is finally being who they were designed to be. People will notice something different about you, but won't be able to identify exactly what it is. It's the glow of divine alignment, the light that emerges when design and destiny converge perfectly. Your countenance will change. Your way of speaking will have new authority. Your presence in a room will be more impactful, not through learned techniques, but through manifested authenticity. You're entering the most powerful version of yourself that has ever existed. Those who criticized you for being different will seek to understand your success. The same people who advised you to conform, who told you to come down from the clouds, who warned you about the dangers of being different, will come asking what changed. And here's the beautiful but challenging part. God is calling you to respond with grace, not with, "I told you so." Your success being authentic is not to rub in the faces of those who doubted, but to inspire those who still fear being themselves. You'll be generous with your testimony. Share the keys to your transformation, because you understand your liberation wasn't just for you, but to create a path for others. Your victory must become a map others can follow toward their own freedoms. The honor coming will not be only internal, but external and tangible. Awards, recognitions, invitations to elite spaces in your field will arrive because you're finally operating in your zone of genius. Your name that was unknown will be mentioned in circles of influence. Your work that was ignored will be studied as reference. Your unique methodology that they criticized will be imitated by those who previously dismissed it. You'll go from being rejected to being sought, from being questioned to being quoted, from being marginalized to being mainstream, but on your own terms, without having diluted your essence. Honor will arrive not because you conformed, but because you stood firm in your difference until the world recognized its value. Your area of vocation will experience massive breakthrough. That project you've been incubating but didn't launch for fear of being too different will finally come to light and be received with enthusiasm by those who are hungry for something original in a sea of generic content. That business based on your unique perspective will take off because the market is saturated with conventional options, and your uniqueness will offer a refreshing alternative. That ministry or platform that seemed too different to work will be exactly what a generation tired of religiosity is searching for. Your difference that you thought would be your limitation will become your dominant competitive advantage in the marketplace of ideas, products, or services. Your family will see the transformation, and many will be inspired. Children who watched you struggle with insecurity will now see you walk in confidence and learn it's possible to be authentic. Your spouse who endured your identity crises will witness your complete flourishing, and the relationship will reach new depth because you're finally yourself without masks. Parents or siblings who didn't understand your path will see the fruits and recognize your difference wasn't rebellion, but divine design. Your transformation testimony will become the most valuable family inheritance beyond money. The legacy of courage to be authentic that will pass from generation to generation. The divine connections arriving will be of completely different level. You'll meet people who operate in similar uniqueness, and the synergy will be explosive. Collaborations born from the meeting of two or more originals produce innovation that changes entire industries. You'll stop relating with people who tolerate you and start building with people who celebrate you. Those new alliances won't require you to constantly explain yourself because they operate on your same frequency. Conversations will flow with immediate depth. Joint projects will happen with supernatural ease. You'll find your true tribe, and the multiplied strength of being with your correct people will catapult you to levels that were impossible in solitude. Your creativity will reach unprecedented levels in your personal history. When you stop spending energy pretending to be someone else, all that energy is released to create. Ideas that were blocked by fear of rejection will flow freely. Projects you postponed for not feeling sufficiently conventional will materialize quickly. Your production capacity will multiply because you're working from your genius zone instead of forcing yourself in areas of competence or incompetence. Work will stop feeling like work when you're expressing your essence. Productivity will skyrocket, not through forced discipline, but through natural alignment with your design. Your bank account will reflect the value of your uniqueness. The world is willing to pay premium for the unique because the common is obtained free or cheap. Your unique personal brand will become a million-dollar asset if you cultivate it strategically. You'll stop competing on price because you'll have no real competition. No one else can offer exactly what you offer in the way you offer it. Your uniqueness will eliminate competition and create natural monopoly in your specific niche. The prosperity you pursued unsuccessfully when imitating will easily reach you when you simply be you. Money flows towards scarcity, and you are limited edition of one. Your health will improve dramatically because the stress of constant performance ends. Living in the lie of being someone you're not is toxic to the body. It generates chronic cortisol that destroys immune systems. It produces tension that manifests in physical pains. The inexplicable tiredness you felt was your soul exhausted from pretending. When you live in your truth, your body relaxes. Sleep improves because there's no more anxiety of maintaining masks. Energy increases because there's no more leak of vitality and performance. Your physical health is a direct reflection of your identity health. And by healing your identity, your body automatically restores itself. Your legacy will be clear and powerful. You won't die wondering what would have happened if you had been brave. You won't leave this world with your music still inside you. You will have completely expressed what God put in you. You will have fulfilled the unique purpose for which you were created. Your life will be reference for future generations of what it looks like for someone who chose authenticity over acceptance, purpose over popularity, destiny over conformity. Those who come after you will have your example as evidence that it's possible, that it works, that the risk is worth it. Your legacy will not be successful imitation of others, but authentic original that only you could be. Your influence will expand to spheres you never imagined reaching. When you're authentically you, you attract not only your direct audience, but those who are tired of the fake in all industries. Your message of authenticity will resonate beyond your specific field because it's a universal message everyone needs. You'll be invited to diverse spaces, not as expert in your technical area only, but as voice of authenticity all sectors need to hear. Your platform will grow exponentially because you're filling a void generic content cannot fill. People are hungry for the real in a world of filters and facades. The final purpose of all this is for you to be an instrument of liberation for others. God doesn't free you from the prison of conformity so you'll selfishly live your freedom, but so you'll return and help others escape. Your transformation testimony will finance the freedom of those who are where you were. Your example of success being authentic will inspire thousands to try it. Your methodology of uniqueness discovery will become a map others will follow. You'll be a channel of authenticity revolution, not a warehouse of personal freedom. And that willingness to serve with your uniqueness will guarantee your influence grows perpetually, because God blesses those who bless others with their unique gifts. So what have you learned in this prophetic moment of revelation? You've discovered your difference is not a defect but intentional design by the Creator. You've comprehended the years fighting against your uniqueness were wasted years fighting against your own destiny. You've understood the peace you sought by conforming would never arrive because you were betraying your essence. And there's no peace possible living in contradiction with your divine design. The most important lesson you take from this word is this. When God says you are unique, it's not an empty compliment but a declaration of purpose. Your uniqueness is the exact tool you need to fulfill the exact mission only you can accomplish. Accepting it is not arrogance, it's obedience. Manifesting it is not selfishness, it's correct stewardship of the gift you received. You've also learned the approval you sought in wrong circles would never be worth the price of your authenticity. Every time you diluted your essence to fit in, you lost more than you gained. The temporary acceptance of those who prefer false versions of you doesn't compensate for the loss of yourself. You've discovered it's better to be rejected for who you are than accepted for who you're not, because rejection while being authentic directs you toward your true tribe, while acceptance while being false traps you in relationships built on lies. The loneliness of being authentic is preferable to the company of being surrounded but hidden. You've learned belonging to places that require you to be less than you are is not belonging but prison. The crucial revelation you receive today is the enemy invests more resources attacking those whose uniqueness represents greater threat to his kingdom. If your recent years were of intense battle against your identity, if the pressure to conform was overwhelming, if the temptation to surrender and be normal was almost irresistible, it's because the adversary sees the giant size of the impact you'll have when you finally manifest your complete uniqueness. The magnitude of warfare is always proportional to the greatness of destiny. Never again will you interpret attacks against your authenticity as a sign you should change. Now you know their confirmation you're exactly on the right path toward manifestation of power. Hell desperately fears. You've comprehended remaining connected to the source of your true identity is not optional, but essential. Disconnecting from who God says you are and reconnecting with who the world wants you to be would be the most costly mistake you could make after this revelation. You learned there's a time to seek and a time to find, and this is your time to find. You've sought your place, your purpose, your identity for years, and you finally found them. They were inside you all along, waiting for you to stop looking outside and look inside where God coded them from the beginning. Remaining connected means living from that internal truth, regardless of what external voices say to the contrary. The most powerful teaching you carry is this. Your most potent testimony will not be about obstacles you avoided, but about the metamorphosis you experienced. It won't be about how you protected yourself from being different, but about how you finally dared to be. People don't need another example of how to fit in. They need to see someone who had the courage not to fit in and still prosper. Your transformation story from insecure imitator to confident original will be the sermon you'll preach without words. Every time someone sees you operating in your uniqueness without apologies, they'll receive silent permission to do the same. Your authentic life will be the license others need to live theirs. You've learned the key of uniqueness is not a magic formula, but a radical decision. There's no secret technique that activates your uniqueness. There's a brave choice to stop hiding it. The key doesn't unlock your uniqueness because it's already unlocked. It unlocks your courage to manifest it. You've discovered you're already unique. You only need to accept it, declare it, and live it. The miracle is not becoming someone new, but freeing the true you who has been caged by years of conformity. The key is in your hand now. Your only job is to use it. Turning it requires faith. Pushing the door requires courage. Crossing the threshold requires total commitment. But on the other side is the life you always should have lived. You also understood your activated uniqueness has a multiplier effect in your sphere of influence. You're not being liberated just for your selfish benefit, but to be a catalyst of collective liberation. Your family will see and find courage to be authentic. Your friends will witness and be challenged to stop pretending. Your community will testify, and many will decide if you could, they can too. Even strangers who hear your story will receive hope that it's possible to live authentically in a world that pressures toward conformity. You're a stone thrown in a pond, and the ripples of your authenticity will reach shores you'll never personally visit. That's why it was so important you resisted, didn't give up. Arrived at this moment of revelation, your victory is not just yours. It belongs to all who will come behind you, walking the path of authenticity you're opening with your courage. Now the moment has arrived for your active and definitive response. Everything you've heard in these minutes was not information to fill your mind, but revelation to transform your complete reality. But that transformation requires you to move your mouth, to declare with absolute authority, to activate with your word what heaven already sealed over your uniqueness. I want you to say this out loud, right now, wherever you are. I am a unique creation, made for the extraordinary. I am not a copy of anyone. I am not an imitation of anything. I'm an original signed by the creator of the universe. My uniqueness is not a defect needing correction, but a design needing celebration. From this moment, I stop apologizing for being different and start capitalizing on my difference. I completely accept who God made me to be, and I manifest that identity without filters, without edits, without fear of rejection from those who prefer false versions of me. Also say these words with deep conviction rising from your spirit. I accept the sign and assume my authority and vocation. I recognize this word didn't arrive to me by coincidence, but by divine assignment. The timing of this revelation is perfect. I'm exactly where I need to be to receive exactly what I need. I take the key of uniqueness. Heaven extends to me and turn it in the lock of my destiny. I push the door of my master purpose and cross without looking back. I declare my season of imitation ended and my era of originality began. My vocation is clear, my authority is activated. My uniqueness is released, and nothing and no one will be able to convince me to return to hiding ever again. Now declare this with all your faith and determination. I no longer fight to be normal. I manifest God's master purpose. I understand normal is code for mediocre, and I was designed for excellence. I comprehend fitting in is a trap to dilute my power, and I choose to stand out in my authenticity. I recognize the path of least resistance is also the path of least reward, and I didn't come to this world to play small. I came to fulfill a giant assignment that requires the complete version of me without discounts, without edits, without compromises. I commit to living from my truth, even if the earth trembles beneath my feet. I commit to speaking my unique voice, even if it silences false voices around me. I commit to being who I was born to be, whatever it costs. Because betraying my divine design would be the greatest sin I could commit. Listen carefully to these final instructions that will seal your uniqueness and activate your complete manifestation. First, I need you to go to the comments right now and write, "I am unique." Those 3 words are not a pretty phrase, but a prophetic declaration sealing your covenant with your authenticity. When you write that comment, you're publicly announcing before visible and invisible witnesses that your season of hiding ended and your era of manifesting began. You're planting a flag in the territory of your uniqueness, declaring, This is me, and I don't apologize for it. Your comment is an act of courage, breaking years of forced silence. It's a cry of freedom after decades of imprisonment in conformity. Don't postpone it. Don't forget it. Do it now, because God's now for your manifestation requires the now of your public declaration. Second, I want you to share this video with someone specific who is struggling to discover their value. Not just any random person, but that individual the Holy Spirit puts on your heart at this moment. Someone you know who's trapped in the same conformity cycle where you were. Someone who's hiding their unique gifts out of fear of rejection. Someone who's pretending to be normal when God designed them extraordinary. When you share this word with that person, you're not only blessing them, you're activating your own multiplication. Because the kingdom law says, what you sow determines what you harvest. By sowing liberation in another's life, you multiply your own freedom. By sharing revelation of uniqueness, you deepen your own understanding. By being a channel of this transformative word, you become a permanent receiver of more revelation. Share now. Don't wait to feel brave. Act and courage will come. Third, I need you to like this video. I understand it may sound technical, but understand the spiritual principle operating. When you like, you're telling this platform's algorithm this content is valuable, and that makes more people trapped in conformity find it. Your like is not just for me. It's an act of generosity toward the thousands who are praying for a message exactly like this, who will find it because you decided to mark it as valuable. Additionally, giving a like is a way to honor the revelation God delivered to you. When you honor the word, God honors your obedience by releasing more clarity, more open doors, more divine connections in your life. It's a virtuous cycle. Honor generates more revelation. More revelation generates more transformation. More transformation generates more influence. More influence generates more glory for God and more impact for you. Fourth, subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. Why is this spiritually critical? Because the prophetic words God has for you don't end with this message. This is only the first layer of revelation about your uniqueness. There's more depth, more dimensions, more practical applications that will be revealed in following videos. If you disconnect now, you'll miss the word's program to activate in the coming weeks and months of your journey. God uses this channel as a conduit of continuous revelation about identity, purpose, and manifestation of uniqueness. Your subscription ensures you don't miss any piece of the divine puzzle assembling your complete destiny. Subscribing is not simply following a channel. It's remaining connected to a flow of prophetic words that will keep your fire of authenticity burning throughout the entire transformation process. Now I want to pray a final sealing prayer over your uniqueness. Heavenly Father, in Jesus' name, I seal right now everything that was declared over the life of the one hearing this word. I seal the revelation of unique singularity. I seal the activation of authority and vocation. I seal the liberation from the prison of conformity. I seal the connection with true tribe. I seal the prosperity connected to authenticity. I send angels right now to execute every word that was pronounced over this life. I cancel all demonic interference attempting to convince this person to return to hiding. I block every voice of conformity wanting to make them doubt their unique value. I activate divine reminders at strategic moments to keep the revelation of their uniqueness alive when fear tries to silence it. I declare what began today in the spiritual realm will manifest in the natural realm in perfect timing, and the resulting testimony will be so powerful it will liberate entire generations from the slavery of imitation. Amen.